Hello, welcome to eBritish IELTS. I hope you all are doing well and you've been practicing your lessons diligently. You all must be familiar with the fact that in your IELTS examination, there are certain things you have to keep in mind if you want to score well. And good vocabulary is one of them. Usage of good vocabulary fetches you really good marks and makes you land in a good band score. So in this video, what I bring to you is 5 very impactful words when used relevantly and in the correct form can really help you enhance your IELTS score. Alright, so we will learn how to use these words, what these words are, what they mean, of course, and how you must place them well in your sentences so that they make sense. And often there are questions that are asked in your speaking examination, or you might be able to use them for your writing sections as well, for commonly asked topics. Alright, so we'll also practice how to pronounce these words correctly. So let's start, and I hope you have fun with this video. Alright, so our first word here that I have to tell you is exhibit. Alright, let's try and pronounce it correctly one more time. Exhibit. Yes, that's how you say it. Exhibit. So what does this word really mean? Now, exhibit means to display, or at times it also means to feel something very intensely, an intense emotion. But usually exhibit can be used in sentences where you want to tell the examiner that you want to showcase something or you want to display something. Okay, so let us understand a few examples where we can use this word. So exhibit can usually be used in words like, if you are asked a question about a museum that you went to. So you could incorporate this word and say, we went to an exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. That is how you used a high vocabulary word. You can use it in sentences where you want to talk about someone else while you're speaking or anything, and you could say stuff like, he seems to want to exhibit his rich cultural background. Or when you talk about your work or something, or things that people look for in employees, then you could also use a sentence like, integrity is a very important quality that an employee must exhibit. So see, in sentences as simple as this, if you use even one word which is a high vocabulary word, you can really enhance your speaking, and it can always land you in a higher band score. So the listener or the examiner knows that you know how to place the word correctly. So try and practice this word and incorporate it into as many sentences as you can. Moving on, let's move on to the next word now. The next word that we have here with us today is intriguing. Alright, the word is intriguing. Let's try and pronounce it once again. Intriguing. So intriguing basically, what does intriguing mean? Intriguing means that when you are really fascinated by something, or you're really interested in something, you saw something and you got really attracted towards it, or it interested you so much, it fascinated you, that is where you can use the word intriguing. How you can incorporate it into your IELTS speaking is when you're talking about clothes, your favorite piece of clothing, when you're talking about flowers, when you're talking about a place that you went to visit, when you're talking about a historical monument. So in multiple situations like that, you can use this word intriguing. So what does this word basically signify? This means that you have an extra inclination or interest in a particular situation. That is where you want to use the word intriguing. For instance, let me read out a few examples for you. Alright. So we could always say that, I have always found French language very intriguing, or the way our English teacher used to teach us was very intriguing. The way Mrs. De Silva explained mathematical questions was so intriguing. And you could use this word in situations when you have to explain the beauty of a historical monument, or you could say that the details of the paintings and the historical monuments were really intriguing. So stuff like that. All right, so moving on to our next word of the day. The next word that we have at hand today, just give me a minute while I move on to the next slide. All right, so the next word is exquisite. This is a really beautiful word we have today, and it actually means that something that is really beautiful, that is of extreme beauty or brings you extreme pleasure. We can use this word then and there. Let's try and pronounce it once more, and you say it with me. Exquisite. 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 You said that right. Let's try and understand a few examples where we can use this word. All right. So exquisite can be used when we have to describe something extremely beautiful, as I told you. So again, you could use this and you could say there were some exquisite portraits that were on display at the mall. So, if the examiner asks you about, describe your visit to a recent place of interest like a mall or a museum or something like that, you could add in such sentences to enhance your speaking material. You could use this word again in sentences like, I feel that the rose is the most exquisite of all flowers. The wedding cake was absolutely exquisite. All right, these are a few examples of what and where you should use this word correctly. Now, moving on to our next word, humongous. That is how you say this. Humongous. Try and speak it out once more. Humongous. Humongous. Now, what does this word mean? Humongous means something that is huge, or huge in itself means very big. So something that is huge or really, really big, giant. In those terms, we use this word humongous. All right. So we can often use sentences when they ask you to describe something about your country or something. You could always say, so I can always give you a rough description, but my country is humongous. So if I go on about it, it will take forever. So in sentences like that, you could say humongous. Or you could talk about your visit to a historical monument and say that when we visited and when we saw the Leaning Tower of Pisa, it was so humongous that I almost felt like an ant in front of the monument. All right, you could use it in words and sentences where you have to say, so we had a scrumptious meal at the restaurant, which was followed by a humongous dish of dessert. So that is where you can use this word. All right, let's move on to the last power-packed word we have at hand today for this video. Ecstatic. Yes, this is the word that will leave your interviewer very impressed. Ecstatic. Yes, that's how you pronounce it. Repeat it with me once more. Ecstatic. What does this word mean? So ecstatic basically means when you have to describe something that brings you immense happiness. All right. So when you're extremely happy or joyful about a situation, when you find yourself in a situation that brought you utmost joy or pleasure, you can incorporate this word there. And you could say, I felt ecstatic at the moment. All right. You could always say that I was ecstatic about visiting my favorite museum. Or when we went on a vacation to Spain, we received an ecstatic welcome that made the entire vacation very memorable for us. So you could use it in sentences when you're describing beautiful scenery that, the first glance of Kashmir made me feel ecstatic. So stuff like that, when you're describing something that brought you extreme joy or something that made you so happy that you became ecstatic. All right, so these are 5 words that I shared with you today that you can try and use in your sentences, and when you use them with adequate spacing and relevantly, they will leave a lasting impression on your listener and your examiner. And remember, you don't have to use complex words all the time, but 1 or 2 words like these really adds on. Also, another very important factor that I'd like to ask you to consider is that whenever you're using these high vocabulary words, what you should do is, when you're saying a sentence, try and pause a little when you're using this word. So, when you're describing something and you want to use the words ecstatic or something like what we shared in this video, you could always say, I was mesmerized by her ecstatic beauty. So you see, we used 2 high vocabulary words in this actually. One is not on the list today, which is mesmerized, and the other one was ecstatic. So when we pause and go a little slow while speaking these words, not only does it make our speech clearer, but it also makes the listener very, cautious about what we are saying, what we are speaking, and they can register it well. So that is all that I have for you today. I hope you had fun learning these words, and we will be back with more videos and new words that you can incorporate into your IELTS examination to do much better. All right, bye-bye.